Guns, gold, and goons. These were the words coined by U.S. Senator Richard Lugar and his team, who first observed Philippine elections in 1986. A scenario that recurred within the country for almost 4 decades. Only one solution was seen to curb the massive cheating and violence, restore faith in political exercises, and save Philippine democracy, automate the voting process.
Part is because we implemented a mandatory biometric system where if you don't have biometrics, you're not even in the list.
Because I always say, machines don't cheat, people do. While they may facilitate change, but it's always people who implement the change. No? And that was very obvious in the last elections.
The impact of the technology-driven polls were felt in the small towns scattered all over the archipelago. Like this laid-back lakeside municipality of Mataas na Kahoy in the highlands of Batangas. Gone were the intense political rivalries that brought out guns, goons, and gold to decide the outcome and put the entire town on edge.
Yung town of Mataas na Kahoy was placed under EWAS, yung election watch list area. At ang nagdedetermine po noon is PNP. May mga kategorya po yun kung bakit ka mapapalagay sa EWAS. Number 1 po, ay may intense political rivalry. Number 2 po, may mga violence na election-related. Number 3 po ay may presence ng mga threat groups.
No more long drawn-out and disputed vote counts that put the results in doubt.
Tagal na po akong umaakto sa election. Kung ikukumpara ko po yung automated sa makalumang paraan ng eleksyon, parang mas okay po yung automated. Hindi rin naman po siguro natin masasabing nagkakaroon ng discrepancy.
Tsaka ito po yung automation, napakalaking tulong po sa mga BEI. Unang-una po, yung mga BEI, from 5 o'clock, naroon na sila sa polling center. Nagpe-prepare na po sila. Tapos after nang makapagboto, magbibilang pa sila manually. Medyo mahirap yung appreciation ng ballot
Still, automation did not answer all the questions and solve all the problems of the 2016 polls. The typical telecom problem gave headaches to so many election officials in remote areas. From incomplete voters list to machine glitches and malfunctions to cloud data traffic online.
Ay, maraming beses po kami nag-try kasi sabi nga po nung election officers namin, kung magagawa nyo ng paraang i-transmit nyo.
Yung problema nga nun, yung during transmission. Talagang kami, doon sa canvassing area, iniintay namin na 100% transmitted yung mga results. Talagang yung signal, kung wala man, mahina. At ang isa pa po, napasabay siya doon sa maraming nagtatransmit. Kaya siguro po, hindi na po na talaga nagawa ng paraan matransmit.
The vice presidential race also became controversial as numbers changed overnight. The losing candidate has since filed a case and demanded a recount.
There was no sudden change. If you're watching the race the entire time, then you'll know that someone will take the lead at some point, but someone could overtake them. Was it sudden? It wasn't. You just weren't looking.
The electronic process may have taken time to get used to, but the traditional fixtures and familiar faces that accompany elections for the past 30 years remain. The election watchdogs. The 2016 polls were so well guarded and observed by neutral and non-partisan groups representing their advocacies, including local watchdogs like the National Citizens Arm for Free Elections or NAMFREL and the People's Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting or PPCRV. The PPCRV was able to hook up 750,000 volunteers all over the Philippines. That's a ratio of 2 PPCRV poll watchers per vote counting machines or VCMs.
It is a lay movement which is focused on voters' education, and it is usually being accredited by COMELEC to help in the poll watching, validation, and voters' education.
Equally watchful of the poll's credibility were those from other countries and ASEAN member states.
In the Philippines, if you want to be a foreign observer, you have to apply with the Philippine Commission on Elections. Meron silang appropriate committee to handle foreign observers, and there are certain rules and regulations to be followed by them. They have to be non-partisan, and they have to identify the specific group to which they belong, and that they are not allowed to make any contributions to any candidate or undertake any action that might be construed as campaigning for or against a particular candidate or a particular political party.
They would come and get briefing of what they have to look out for, and they want to be connected with our coordinators in the provinces. We call them diocesan coordinators, because each province is an equivalent diocese. So we connect them there so that their security and their also the availability of our volunteers for their interview are facilitated.
The ASEAN has been part of our election landscape. In 2010, the community observed our debut into automation in the presidential polls. Efforts to strengthen and build on monitoring resulted in the first election observers work report gathering in Manila in 2015, with a follow-up meeting in November that year in Jakarta.
If Philippines can do automations in election, why not Indonesia? That's the question. So, but this is also the question that should be discussed.
In May 2016, they were part of the 104-man group of international observers missions who participated in the presidential polls.
In past elections, we've always had international observers coming in, but we had more in the last elections than I think in the previous ones. That could have something to do with the fact that it was a presidential elections and therefore that much more interesting.
They just come over during election day. They present themselves and ask our help to assist them go around. So whoever comes during election day, we just tour them and show how the system is running. And many of them are very much curious how we validate the votes in our command center.
The host-guest relationship could well be defined as symbiotic. The country's political exercises benefit from good reviews, leading to a global institutionalization. The presence of foreign observers help deter violence and fraud and keep the integrity of the most sacred exercise of democracy intact, as they get more acquainted with our best practices that could be adopted back home.
Well, it's very, very important in terms of ensuring credibility of our elections, because if there are some foreign observers, of course, this could be a deterrent to some people who might be committing frauds and irregularities.
In sum, the 2016 election was generally peaceful and orderly. In the words of AKP Mongten, the ASEAN Deputy Secretary General, one of the models and one of the best practices we can refer to and emulate. This was validated by local surveys done on the conduct of the whole automated electoral process. While the ASEAN has yet to come up with the specific policies and guidelines in conducting peaceful and credible elections, almost all member nations of the ASEAN bloc embrace the principles of democracy, believe in safeguarding the integrity of elections, knowing full well that peaceful and orderly elections lead to broader voter confidence and satisfaction. That turns on transparency and paves the way for economic development and growth, as seen in a boom enjoyed by all in the last 10 years. But much work has yet to be done.
It's not so much the system itself being flawed. I mean, although of course there are ways to improve the system itself, but I think it's really a matter of getting more people informed.
We also look forward for a more efficient Commission on Elections, that election protests could be decided effectively, so that the winners could really be proclaimed accordingly.
A democracy that works lies in the state's ability to hold free and fair elections.
Elections are what either strengthen democracy or weaken it. In the last elections, we believe it strengthened democracy.
With the 2016 polls now in the history books, the country has indeed earned high marks and exceeded all expectations. With the next political exercises set for 2019 and 2022, the Philippines is sure to blaze a trail for others to follow, with a little help from the international community and our ASEAN friends.